Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is just like a Star Wars situation going on here. There we go. Blurriness. Contact informations. Okay, so right now I'm doing a reading that is the final reading in my Astrological Age series. This is the Age of Aquarius. Now, this has to do with precessional cycles, and it's roughly every 26,000 years. We're kind of, or just about to be in the Age of Aquarius right now, and I sound like I'm out of breath. Okay. So we're just about to be in it, and then we were in it about 26,000 years ago. So about 24,000 BC to about 22,000 BC-ish. And then we'll be in it again in another 26,000 years from now. So unlike the other astrological ages, where it's more of what happened last time, what's going to happen next time, and what's happening in the interim, really it's more of an action of like what's happening now. So it's what's happened then, what have we been working up to, and what are we going to be doing, instead of a sandwich kind of effect. Now, I've pulled these decks out to use, and I don't think I've used 5 before. It's kind of a lot. So I've got the Work Your Light Oracle deck, I've got the Syrian Starseed Tarot, I've got, very obviously, the Aquarian Tarot deck, because you just can't not use it for this. I've got these 2 new decks that I've got. I've got this Blessed Be deck, which is like kind of like an oracle deck. And I've also got the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. New to me. I finally finished reading the book. It took me a while because I was busy and sleepy. It's also 300 pages. I like to read the book before I use the deck because it gives me insight into what other meanings there could be for the same cards. But incidentally, this is using a slightly different system. So some of the minor arcana are combinations of other ones from other decks. And then it's got, I think, 25 major arcana cards. Let me get in here and double check this just to make sure. I think it's 25. 24. Okay, yeah, it's 25 because one of them is a 0. And they're slightly different than the regular major arcana. Sometimes there's combinations of what the other ones might be. So it's a different system, and the descriptions are long, but I've got the book out because I've only used it really once. And I was waiting to do this reading until I could get into this deck very specifically. So we've got the Dreams of Gaia and the Blessed Be, which I've used a couple of times. So we're going to use these for this reading and these other decks as well. So I'm going to get into it. Alright, so I did a little bit of research, and let's put this here for decoration while I'm talking. Okay. Alright, so Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus. Now, it's unique in that it's tilted on its side. It also has one of the largest orbits, and I think it's slightly off key, so it kind of goes around Neptune in a weird loop that crosses the orbit. It has some rings on it. It's like a blue-green. It's twins with Neptune. Has to do with freedom, revolutionary vision. There's like an urge for change. You're looking towards the future. There's more rational thought over emotional thought. It has to do with things like astrology, yoga, kundalini, the body electric, life force energy, scientific inventions, innovation, technology, the metaphysical world, higher mind usage, and something like the internet would be both technology. It would be in that wheelhouse of air element, which is Aquarius is an air element, and then this sort of ethereal world where you have this technology and communication and air, but it's also this virtual reality space where you're in another dimension to do that. There's also an urge for change, and coming into the age of Aquarius is really going to be different from the Piscean age. You have all these old values that we've known for the last couple thousand years. We have government, corporation, this individualism, this intense me of personal relationships, and it's, you know, this sort of hippie idea of brotherhood, love, unity. But what we're really talking about is integrity. And I don't mean like integrity, you know, like in South Park. I mean, it's being in tune with this universal grouping of looking outside yourself, but also integrating with your own individuality. So you're not going into a hive mind. You're saying, what are my skills and my own personal intelligences that I'm bringing to this group collective so everybody benefits, and I'm not just hoarding everything for myself. And likewise, there would be a male-female integration where you're not polarized into this uber masculinity or this uber femininity where it's like you're either a dude bro or a princess. You're taking on aspects of both, and you're becoming a very like balanced individual. And I think we're seeing that as we get further into this age where we have a lot more movement in non-binary and trans and gay things. I know I said that weird, but it's not like a social movement in that it's people want attention or they just want to be different. It's this internal calling for balance and integration of these different halves of these different polarities of energy, whereas people were okay in just being one side or the other for a long time, even though in your mind, in your energy, you're still both. Now they want to express that outwardly, and I think that's the main difference, is that people don't want to be told you have to do this thing, you have to do that thing. It's we're integrating, we're pooling these resources together, and we're going to spit them back out in ways to help everyone around us. Okay. Okay. So one thing that's interesting is that though Aquarius is the water bearer, it's an air sign, and it's for communication and ideas, and the way that we propagate communication is through sound waves. Okay, so sound waves are exactly the same as water waves. It's like a different frequency of the same thing. One, we can feel it if it's big enough, and then we can hear it. And then, you know, if the water is big enough, you can hear it, but normally you just feel it. So there's that idea of waves and waves, but we're air, communication, radio waves. And then Pisces also has a lot to do with religion. So we've seen a lot of organized religion and 30,000 factions of the same religion, for example. So with Aquarius coming in, we see people looking towards new religions or no religion or their own self-guided spirituality in terms of trying to cope with the reality of the world outside the physical. This like metaphysical thing. We're coming into this different different modality for dealing with how we view our position in the universe. Let's call it that. Where is our place? How are we integrated into the whole? What is our portion of the universal consciousness. Let's call it that. Okay. So in terms of historical time period of that 26,000 years ago, there's not a lot of history. And if you look up Age of Aquarius or 26,000 years ago, you only get what's going on now or what's going on in the future. They don't talk about what was happening last time, and they don't really talk about human history that much. And the only thing I could really find is last glacial maximum and ivory goddess statues. And there's also a problem with academia. So you've got people building, you're in the Paleolithic era still. You've got people using stone technology. But what you also, depending on how far back you believe it goes and what technology people are using and when megalithic things were built, probably not 4,000 years ago, probably tens of thousands of years ago, you would have people using sound technology, levitating multiple tons of stuff, using sound to melt or partially melt rock and things like that. So they'd be using a different technology that would not have survived thousands of years of material decay and flooding and erosion and oxidation and fire and rain and things like that. So even if you don't believe that they had Caesar technology back then, sound technology, you could say that because there was a glacial maximum, there was more land available for traveling to see other people, and they would be trading their little Stone Age technologies and communicating and gene swapping and all that stuff. Oh, and also that ivory that they would be using would probably be mammoth ivory. Lower water, more interconnectedness. Yeah. Although in our age, what we're seeing is potentially more water. But that's another debate about climate change that's not really worth it. So let's get into the cards here. Now that I've waxed philosophically. Is that frickin' not in focus? This is my challenge, is trying to figure out if my screen is focused, because I'm seeing it at an angle. That's probably pretty good. Okay. My desk is really crowded right. Well, my table is really crowded right now because I'm going through all of my things. Okay, water and then cards. So I'm going to lay out cards for the last age to get what people were really working on 26,000 years ago, because there's really no history to say like, oh yes, they were writing this down and building this, and male energy was doing this and female energy was doing that. And I find that usually it has to do with consciousness and ascension, and if they were trying to integrate things back then, we would be picking up where we left off last time. So let me get some cards going here. I already cleared and shuffled all these decks, and I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna run this backwards. So give me that one. Tried to flip over. So I'm gonna do the future, now. We'll get cards for now and cards for what's been happening in the last many thousand years that we've been building up to. And then we'll get some cards for what we're trying to really... What is our leaping off point that we're trying to get to now? That one tried to come out. These cards, these are actually from the same publisher, and I didn't realize that when I went to buy them. It was kind of coincidental. And they're like thin and very glossy, but they're easy to shuffle. They're bouncy. It was kind of like the Cairo Marchetti Legacy deck. I think these might be a little bit thinner, but in that way they're easy to shuffle. The Blessings deck is a little bit bigger, but I can still get it in my hands, and these might be a little thicker, but they're equally easy to use. These ones are just a little bit too big for my hands, and I've got them scuffed up enough that I can kind of shuffle them now. Okay, so those ones. Just one of these. So this is going to be for now. I'm going to do it backwards. Because then I won't have to move the cards. So it was like I was saying, when I'm using the Starseed Tarot, it's so big, Syrian Starseed, I found that the only way for me to effectively, to make it even, effectively shuffle is to kind of go like that with them. It doesn't always work. There we go. And a little bit scuffy on the edges, just slightly easy to... There we go. Beautiful. Because it's still really clumsy to go like that. It doesn't quite work. Take that one. I use these like 30 times before I actually figure out an effective way to get one of them out of there. That guy. And this guy. Am I got time? Okay. There. Yes. Okay. Dawning of the Age of Aquarius. It's also interesting that it talks about higher consciousness and metaphysical stuff, because the band that did the Dawning of the Age of Aquarius is the Fifth Dimension, so they kind of knew what they were doing there, maybe. Just flip that over till we're ready. I was super excited about doing this reading. Been waiting a couple of months, really. Oh, wow, that's a lot of cards. Okay. Alright, so we'll get some for the interim. I'll go back to do it in the same order, just for funsies. Okay. So keep that together. Probably add that I still have a sale on digital sketches. They're slightly worked up sketches, portraits that are available. They're a $40 value for 20 bucks, and I don't think I want that one. And that's just through PayPal or Venmo or Cash App. I have an account for Venmo and Cash App, and I have not used them yet, so I don't really know how that all works, but definitely PayPal. PayPal.me/CATtheMinion, and you can get a digital portrait of your person or pet. Also willing to do celebrity portraits for you, but those are 50 bucks because there's a certain level of accuracy that has to be achieved, so people won't be like, what the hell happened to so-and-so's face? Also been doing some logo work lately and some business banner work. They're extremely time consuming, especially when I'm drawing paths for a couple of weeks, so those are $200. I have samples of them. Okay. I don't know where it cut me off because I was rambling about my artwork. And I forgot to check the time on my video segment. So I have $20 digital portraits available, and then I have some logo and banner work that I've been doing as well. Those are time consuming, and there's a lot of hours and hours of drawing paths in GIMP, and those are $200 right now. If you want to see samples of those, Facebook art page, and I've got some of them up on DeviantArt as well. That's CATtheMinion and DeviantArt. TCanyon Art on Facebook. What else? What else? Oh, I didn't put any of these out yet. I've got some templates available. I've got a free deck of tarot cards that you can print out. That's my bootleg music deck. It's in PDF format now, so you can just print it out. You need 10 pages of cardstock. I've got a template for this guy that you can purchase, and I think that's in a PDF now as well. I've got a tutorial for that. I do have little chapbook packets available. That was something that was also in my infomercial video, I think, and you can get those if you want. I have not had anybody ask for them, but I've got a whole big box full of them. Little cards and poems and stuff, just to give yourself a mystery packet. Could be kind of like a tarot reading. What am I doing? I kind of turned off personal reading orders a few weeks ago because I had a bunch of stuff going on that I was trying to deal with, and I didn't want to leave myself open to that energy. I'm kind of into, I'm feeling my tarot energy right now though, and I don't know if I really want to open that up as a thing, but if you want a personal reading, go ahead and ask me, because I think the prices are still listed even though they're written as being unavailable, and that information is all in my infomercial video. So that's enough for that one. Alright, so let's see what's going on in the past. Many thousands of years ago. I've been working on my cafe press as well. I've got 3 designs, possibly 4. I think it's only 3 now that I have to finish doing or redoing. I recently redid Incubation entirely digitally. If you go to my cafepress.com/CATtheMinion though, you will still see the hand-drawn version in the thumbnail, but when you go into it you'll see the digital version, and you can get the full square design, or just some of the items have just the central mandorla with the little dude in it. Let's see, look at these guys. Almost ready with these cards. This is a lot of cards. I'll be talking till I'm a little hoarse. The weather guy in Canada. Okay. I just get antsy when I know whether a card is inverted or not. So I feel like I'm already prejudiced against it. Also been really trying to get better in touch with my guides lately. and I had this really weird experience, and I found out that some other people did as well, coming through the Mercury Retrograde changeover. I had my guides tell me very vehemently what to do in the morning, and then by nighttime they had completely changed their minds and were telling me to do the opposite, which made me very distressed and felt like an a-hole and very sad for about 2 days from it. So that was fun. Apparently it's this new thing that's happening this season, so look out for that party right there. Oh, I guess that one too. Alright, get some wood. Make sure I'm still in focus. And we'll start this examination of the cards. I think I need a little buddy first, though. Let me get a little buddy here. Ugh. There we go. Little buddy. There we go. Alright. Where's his tail? Okay. Dusty. Okay. We got a little buddy, and we're ready to go. Where's my zone? Find my zone. Fuck. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I know where I'm at. Okay. I'll put him over here. All right. So the previous. Oh, Jesus Christ. The previous age of Aquarius. Book and bridge, except it's all tangled up. Okay, so the previous age of Aquarius, we have the world inverted. That's 21. We have the King of Swords. These do not surprise me at all. We have the King of Pentacles inverted. And we have the Ace of Swords. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna get these all laid out before I even say anything. This is exciting. Starseed. Number 0, aka the Fill. 7 of Flames. Doesn't also surprise me. So this is the 7 of Fire, 7 of Wands, 7 of Rods, etc. And we have Indigo inverted. Now that's interesting. So this is the Magician in this deck. That he's inverted is insane, especially with that Starseed card. Those are intriguing. Okay. Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. I'm laying these out like Monopoly properties over here. Okay. Okay, so trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Now this is inverted. This deck doesn't really have inversion, so I see this as more of a delay or a challenge. And a foot stuck in all that sand. Okay. Okay. These are all tangled up. And these ones first. Okay. I saw that by accident. Okay. So I have the 5 of Earth inverted. And what's weird is that this guy is holding the Ace of Spades, which is swords. He's got a card that we can't see, and then he's also got the Jake of Spades, which is really unusual. Now this deck has different meanings, but the 5 of Pentacles is usually that the 2 kids, or the girl and the cripple outside of the church. That sounds terrible. The kid with the little Timmy there with the crutches. What's that kid in Scrooge? Is it Timmy? I don't remember. Timmy. This is the so terrible. The 7 of Earth inverted. Is that Earth? It seems weird. Yeah, it's a 7 of Earth inverted. I haven't used this deck very much yet, so it's like Minotaur dude with a yoke on him. It's a basket of fruit. Alright, so 7 of Pentacles inverted. For Earth. And the Queen of Fire. The cute little kitty. Interesting. Alright, so let's see what the blessings are. We have a blessing of forgiveness, number 31. So that's a 4. Just flip it over so you can see it. These ones don't have reversals either, but when they're upside down, it's also like a delay. Timing is off. So blessing of forgiveness with this woman and the owl and the moon and the holly berries. The holly berries. Time. This is going to be a long ass reading because I am taking my sweet ass time right now. Okay. And then we have a blessing to find the truth, number 25, so that's a 7. And we have a white raven and 3. Those look like they're not the same kind of bird. They look different. I don't know if they're supposed to be crows or little blackbirds or whatever. And this lady here, blessing to find the truth, but she's also inverted. A lady and a bird and some branches. Sensing a pattern. Then we have a blessing on a battle that cannot be avoided, number 29. So that's an 11. So 11 tends to be actually to do with divinely orchestrated timing, even though it's delayed. Or things that have been planned out. Okay. Tell me about these ones. Oh, interesting. Okay, so these ones all definitely go together with these pentacles. Oh, come on, buddy, get over here. Okay. Not sure what the Queen of Fire is doing. Okay. There's a lot of changes happening in the world, in the physical world, that has to do with the time clock moving. Okay, so this is Aquarius down here, and this is Leo up here. So there's something. Oh, okay. The last age of Aquarius was more heavily influenced by its Leo duality. It's polar opposite. It's partner. It's like a balancing act. But it's like if you're on a seesaw and this is one person and this is the other person, you have to go up and down and up and down. But if one person hops off, you're not moving. You're just sitting there wishing you had some friends. So the last age of Aquarius ended with their world being very topsy-turvy because of this heavy flow of leonine energy. Very, a lot of fire. So I would assume there'd be a lot of volcanism at this time. And choking in the air. Different, like very hot intervals of weather, despite the glaciation, which is unusual. But if you think about it, if you have a lot of volcanic activity, it's going to be blocking out the sun, which would give you colder weather and would probably get that ice growing thicker because there's not a lot of heat melting it. But I don't claim to be expert on that, but I'm seeing fire energy and the world being upside down in some way. So there might have been shifting going on the Earth's surface itself, because we have all this pentacle energy, but it's also upside down, so we're not balanced. We can see we're looking towards Leo, and then we have Taurus right here on our shoulder. Like I'm not feeling comfortable in my home, and I'm feeling very... I always see this big red pentacles on here. I always think of the devil, and in this position, it's in that devil position with the goat horns up here, and then the ears, and then the beard. So it's very... you're very bound, chained to the earth. There's a problem with ascending from the physical plane, probably because there's this weird stuff going on in the Earth's surface that's kind of shaking people up in some way. And then even this card, this figure looks rather devilish as well. We have all this red fiery energy coming into this green earth tone, and this sort of goddess dryad figure down here in the tree is very upset, feeling very put out that the earth is not giving what the people need in that sense. So we're saying we're missing the truth here of what's really happening, and we're not really able to make a new start in understanding either what's happening or in our higher consciousness because of our immediate earthly needs. Okay. This guy is very similar in that respect too, because he's ready to harvest, but his fruits are in a really small bowl. He's chained, and he's got that Taurus energy again. Now, this guy has, you know, curvy devil horns, but this dude over here, even though he has that beard, he's chained up, he's locked to this yoke, he's trying really hard to get something from the earth, but he's coming up short here with his little thing. He's got a sword back here, but he's not really using it. He can't really figure out what's going on. And again, we've got this sort of thrown off Taurus energy where there isn't a lot of there isn't really like a lot of sensuality or comfort in that way. Now, I want to get into the book of the Dreams of Gaia just a little bit, because I want to see what the alternate system meanings are for these. So for this 5 of Earth guy, upside down, I'm just skimming this, hold on. Okay. So this is saying that there's this character here in this inverted position is acting in a devilishly, as I had picked up on, being selfish, saying that they're acting for the good of others, but they're really keeping stuff for themselves. So in this idea of the earth not really giving you what you want, you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to go out and help everybody, but with, you know, that idea, that Aquarian idea that came up in the research of we're thinking about the greater good while still being an individual, but here the individual is like, yeah, but I'm still going to keep more for myself, even though I'm, you know, pretending to offer something to somebody else. All right, so let's get to this other card here. The 7. Was that 6? Did I read that? Oh, I thought it was a 7. It's because it was upside down. My bad. That's a 6. So the 6 of Earth is usually the, you see this idea of the traditional meaning of the scales, kind of, with this yoke coming down with the chains, and he's got you know, stuff there. So this would be the idea of generosity and giving in the old deck. Okay. Alright, so I was over here. Okay. Lost my place and I had to start. Okay, so this is in the traditional deck. The Six of Pentacles is the guy giving balanced amount of change from his Libra-shaped scales to the two peasants or whatever, making sure they have the same amount of money. It's the masculine open heart chakra, because the masculine's love language is giving physical gifts. Now, and we see that, and it also tends to be one of the other, in my music deck, the song that I put with this card is The Right Garden by Jane Oliver, which is actually based on my choosing of that song is actually based on the Wild Unknown Tarot Six of Pentacles, which is like a branch with 6 little bud pentacles on it. So the point is it has to do with growth, with bounty, with giving, with charity. And in that sense, it really means the same thing as this other card. Now, and I skimmed the book here. In this system, even the Six of Earth inverted has to do with giving service to other people, but you're complaining about it the whole time as if you're a victim. You're so inconvenienced. Oh my God, I can't believe it. You're a martyr for it, but you know, it's, oh, I'm going to help you, but I'm going to make sure I post it all over social media so people know how good I am at it. Or I'm going to complain the whole time. Like, do I really have to go bring clothes to Goodwill and then give out bags to the homeless? This, like, what the hell? That's this energy here. So these cards meaning the same thing. We have this 11 total energy. So we have, again, this idea of it's divinely orchestrated, it's planned out, it's timed, we're doing it, but we're not in the right time. And we've come to this position where we have this idea of giving to others, which is that base idea of the age of Aquarius, is we're using our skills to help the body collective while still maintaining individuality. Whereas here, it's like the individual says, I'm more important, so I'm going to pretend to give to people just to make myself look better, but I'm going to complain about it because me, pay attention to me, I am an individual, and I am more important than everybody else. So, and then also this idea of that the harvest isn't very good. This small bowl of stuff here, there's not a lot to be had because, again, there's something, this real intense leonine fire energy coming through with the physical world here. And then the idea of this lack of benevolent leadership, of feeling unsatisfied. Okay. Okay, the time wasn't moving. Now, additionally, what we have going on here also, we have this King of Swords energy. So there's mental clarity. He's taking up this sword of truth, this new beginning, this idea of new thought. This saying, what's going on here isn't really working. So I see this, ooh, purple sky here. I think both purple haze and purple rain. One of the things, one of the messages in the song Purple Rain is really like, I wanted to be friends with you, but like somebody thought there was supposed to be like I was cheating on them with you, and now we can't be friends. So it's this, I get this kind of background idea that what's going on here is first of all like cheating, but we're like a false friendship or a stalled friendship. Like we're not really helping people. And here we have, you know, two people on either side of the truth. And we got this idea of white flowers to me signifies the death card. So I'm also getting, we're taking up this new idea, this new concept of there's something separating us from each other as a collective people, and I need to go and take up this sword and seek out what's clouding my vision and open up my third eye and get into this higher plane to figure out how to take the sword out of the roots of potential growth here. And you see that he's got his crown on his shoulder because he's not resting on his laurels. He's going out and actually doing something actively. He says, I'm going out. I'm a single individual, but I'm going out with this new concept. I got to communicate this idea to people. And just see this like bulging crown on the hilt here that signifies there's some kind of download coming. And even here, this can be a 1 or a 14. So we could say 15, we're in this devil energy, but we're not being chained by it as much. Or we can say this is also 11. So there's the time is right to change what's happening. Even though there's challenges in the last age that probably aren't going to be resolved until now. So here, this king who's setting out with this new idea, he's not quite ready to trust his path. He doesn't quite feel supported because he's all by himself, but he's trying to get into this, go through this portal here, into this new way of thinking. But what he doesn't know, with all these 11s, is that there's divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. So we have this download being sent down, and you see, like, it's literally like, here's the purple, is that in the screen? The purple clouds being sent down by this team up here that are saying, okay, this is what's, okay, team, we're going to get in, okay, we're doing Aquarius now, so let's get down here, let's talk to the people, and get them enlightened. And this guy's like, it's like a radio tower. It's like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And, you know, the Morse code coming down. He's like, boom, and he's like, oh, okay. Now this message coming down here is like this ball of light here. This is the really like purple lotus clown. I almost said clown chakra. The clown chakra. Oh, Jesus Christ. The Joker movie coming in. If he had his clown chakra opened up, oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So we have a new beginning here. Now, this card usually means they're sending down a starseed to be born on Earth. They're going to be enlightened and bring in this higher intelligence, and they're going to be this indigo child, and they're going to be all enlightened and magical. And you see this purple cloud here, and he's got his little crystal seed here that's going to turn into its own little flower. Except this kid is born breech. He came out back-asswards and doesn't remember what he's doing, so he's like, I don't feel like I'm getting any help here whatsoever. And they're like, but we sent you with the whole thing and the magic and the what? And then we have a 1 and a 0 here, so we have a 10. So there's something is being completed by having this new higher consciousness people come in, but not being able to figure out what they're doing. And this 7 of Flames is coming in. It links back to this Queen of Fire energy here. So she's a 13, and then we have 7 here, which is 20, which is karma, which really has to go back to this. The Judgment card in this deck is karma. So that is the completion. There's completing karma from the last age, or in the last age, that has to do with balancing this over intensity of Leo energy, which is this sense of, look at me, I'm more important. Look at me. So this card here, the Seven of Flames, has to do with standing up for what you believe in, or they all coming for you. Like, oh Lord, he coming, like 6 times over. So you think you're winning, and you've got this idea that you're on top, but all this information down here is saying, but you're wrong. Those 6 pentacles are on fire, and you have to, and you're trying to defend this stance that you're right, even though you haven't really been giving. You know, instead of growing your harvest, your field is on fire, and nobody's getting anything because you won't give up this idea of being more important. And that's not to say that the Queen of Fire is a bitch. She's bringing in this idea of standing in for fire energy, but also being a 13, which is to say that there's a death cycle going to happen here. That there's something ending in this imbalance here. Okay, now, so this is really what's happening. This blessing, this 11 that's inverted, that's stalled, that's a challenge that's hanging in the balance, a blessing on a battle that cannot be avoided. That's the battle, is the fire versus the air. Are you fanning these flames, or are you going to use that pitcher of water you're carrying to pour some of that out and say, well, you know, screw that, I'm gonna pretend like I've got 8 flames and go tell all the people. Okay, so let me read this out of the thing here, because it's challenged to get over this imbalanced polarity that's happening in this push and pull between Aquarius and Leo, because they're on either side of the spindle here. We have Aquarius over here and Leo over here, and Leo's like, ha 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 ha, and Aquarius is like, no, but it's my time, and they're like, no, it's all about me. Schizophrenic marker. 29. 29. Okay. All right. So let me read this, because I think this is really important for this section of past age. Blessing to help you through a conflict that must be faced with courage and compassion for all involved. So really they're thinking about everybody and not just this individual. So the battle might not be a fight, a confrontation, or the clash of swords swinging. Most of us don't want the battle. We want the peace and to talk and parlay our way through the differences and the difficulties within our lives. Many times we may walk away knowing that the battle will bring more damage than we can face. And at other times we must walk through the fires. Bitch! We must walk through the fires of confrontation and go into a battle we did not want, but which can no longer be avoided. So this is a blessing on those who are to face a battle they wished was not theirs to fight, but it has become clear that they have no choice but to confront, to bring out their arms, and to fight. It may be with the law, or it may be with wits. So here, it's definitely wits. It may be through speaking your truth. It may be refusing to accept what another has determined is enough for you. So here, this guy is saying, I'm only going to give you this much. And I'm going to complain about it the whole time. Maybe with a challenge or a condition or an injustice or a cruelty. Says, whatever the nature and form of the battle before you, accept now this blessing upon you for your courage. So this guy has the courage because he thinks he's all by himself, because he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember that he's got a whole team. Okay. And also, if you turn the lion upside down, you will, right? You got your cowardly lion. And all he needs is courage. And that will send you into the Aquarian energy where you're flowing all your power outwards. And skimming the rest of this. For your warrior's heart, which is blessed with courage and strength of the feeling of fear, yet the ability to stand your ground. For the swinging of the sword and the raising of the shield. For the quiet and the chaos you will find, and for the sacrifice you will make in order to see this through. You are blessed, and your warrior spirit is rising, and it is blessed, for you are no aggressor or foolish conqueror. You are a soul who will no longer run from what stands between you and the rest of your beautiful life. So, again, we see this sword is between this growth here. And this guy is really embodying this warrior who's doing his best to cut through all this conflicty bullshit. Okay. And so we have the blessing to find the truth, which is also inverted, which is a 7, which really goes 7s and 7, getting drank. Okay. So again, with this sword here, this is really truth. And we'll just skim this real quick, a blessing to find the truth. And again, it was inverted. Because it's a challenge, or the timing is slightly off. 25. I love how I got to the page and then it slipped past my thumb. Oh, here we go. A blessing to discover the truth in a situation so you can make make choices with full awareness. Okay. Blessing on this time and on you so that the truth can be told. And this pour down upon you its unique freedoms. Oh, dude. This is exactly what they're doing. They're like pouring it down. They're like doop beep beep doop beep doop beep doop beep beep. The Morse code. I lost my okay. May you be blessed with knowing the truth of your own soul. So here he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. But with if this blessing comes around and goes full, like out of the challenge position, then he's going to remember what he's doing. Let the transformative powers of truth bring to you the light so that what was once obscured now begins to shine, and what was uncertain now becomes defined, sure, glittering in its certainty. So like I said, this guy is going through this cloudy haze here, and he's trying to get clarity. I'm just gonna get some water. Oh, here we go. Let the blessings of truth be your liberty now, for with the truth there is a growth of wings that lift you up and beyond the current burdens that have kept you grounded. So that, to me, speaks entirely of this guy right here. He's chained by his own ego, really. Let the speaking of the truth bring you comfort. All right, so Taurus energy as a background really has to do with a lot with comfort. Very hedonistic. Sensual. Let the open-hearted honesty of it cure any confusion, and let the conviction of your new knowledge bring you the rewards that are so dearly due. Let those who know you, who hear you, be healed by the contact with the purity of your words and yourself. And let no one be in any doubt as to the worth of your words and the quality of your character. There is no need to be anything except your own blessed, perfect, honest, and open self. Revealed to you now is the truth of others, their motives laid bare without adornment or manipulation. So it's very much this card has to do with the change in the bridge between these two douchebags over here and this guy. Let the lamp of truth shine into all that was dark and unknown, both within and without, and let the words you have longed to speak fall freely and without concern from your lips. Truth shall bless you, and you shall bless others, when you show by example the glorious simplicity of living within the power of your own truth. Live the truth of your soul, and may the souls that share the truth be blessed forever. Okay. And again, the previous age, we have all this stuff with this divine numeration. We're saying we're canceling out this conflict, but it's all topsy-turvy. It's like someone threw a shoe in the gears. Sabotage. I have lost my nickel. And then we have a blessing of forgiveness. Now here we have this owl, which usually represents wisdom. And I just see this like little hoop here. It looks like a whole bunch of... It looks like what's that thing called when the zygote starts getting more cells on it? Like a blastosphere or something like that. That's what that looks like. But it also looks like a bunch of zeros. Bunch of these guys tied together. We got sunflower here, so we've got a little bit of Leo energy still in the background. We've got this moon energy in here having to do with secrets. So I would say that like hidden agenda, kind of ulterior motive kind of guy has to clear out this energy here. That I see with the moon, but it's getting smaller, so it's heading into that new beginning. Now this also, number 4 has to do with foundation. 31 breaking down to a 4, and it was inverted. So the foundation of this new beginning is a little bit shaky. It's not quite there yet. There's a delay, there's a block. But I'm going to see what the forgiveness card says. Because if you're trying to change this whole mindset, there has to be some forgiveness. So people say, hey, this guy treated me like crap. Now he's going to be all cool. Like, what the hell? So let's get into the forgiveness here. 31. I feel like my lips are burning. I've been sick and they're like crusty. Okay, blessing of forgiveness. Okay, so in the upright, the Harry Potter's owl there, and Hermione. A blessing to be able to be free of the burden of grudges and vengeance. A prayer to help you open up to the blessing that is forgiveness. So, forgiveness is a tricky beast. A gentle word, but a beast no less, okay? When we seek to forgive, we must wrestle with the wrongdoing that lies at the heart of our resistance to let go of the pain we are holding on to. When we need to forgive, it is often that we are too raw, too far away from justice to be able to even touch the sides of the balm of forgiveness. It's a weird analogy. Staying angry for long periods of time can develop into a compacted bitterness. Bitterness is a gall to all who wish to live freely. It's a struggle to forgive when we are in the midst of fallout of another person's actions. There's a great deal of victim blaming within our cultures. In older times in the Celtic world, there was a restorative justice, and it would have gone a long way to forgiveness. In the Old Testament worldview, which has influenced our legal systems and our cultural ways of addressing wrongs, punitive justice is the main form, and forgiveness comes about usually after a wrong is righted. What we can do when the wrong is still very much alive, and to forgive another seems to be diminishing their harm and their potential to harm others. Justice and forgiveness must work hand in hand, and in this blessing they will now begin to entwine, so that while you begin to forgive first yourself for whatever wrong was done to you, there's often an element of self-blame. There was once another way to restore what was taken through right action, and thus the path to forgiveness was free from vengeance. In numerous New Age philosophies, responsibility is apportioned to the individual who is suffering time and again. How did you attract this is asked, and that is wrong and damaging in some cases, cruel and unethical. First know that whatever was wrong was done to you and is not your fault, and begin the work of forgiving yourself. It's a long one. I'm going to keep reading it, though. May the blessings of this self-forgiveness be bestowed upon you now, dear friend. Know you will gently untangle the doubt and recriminations that have settled like thorns about your heart and invaded your mind's peace. And as you begin to forgive yourself, you will also begin to find forgiveness for the injustices you have endured. For in that forgiveness and acceptance and ability to know clearly that wrongdoing was done, you will begin to return to yourself. You will be wiser yet unpoisoned. Slowly may the pain and the bitter buds wither, and in their place may you be reborn, honestly able to remember, wiser in order to prevent this event taking place again, and able to recall without pain. And the justice that the universe will deliver to you will be restorative, bringing back to you threefold what was taken by another. May you be free of the pain at last. Let the anger burn down into coals from which you, phoenix-like, can arise. And now you have forgiven the other for their dark gift, forgiven life, and most of all, delivered the pure medicine of forgiveness to yourself. Okay. So, again, this one mentions fire. So we see that we have this element of karma, of restorative justice, and death here, 13, which would lead to that rising phoenix energy with this element of fire, of this sunflower background energy, and again this like red hair as well, and this rebirth of yourself in the heart area, and wisdom from what you've learned without judgment of yourself. And again, this is something that is delayed or not fully realized in the last age. So it's like the whole last age of Aquarius was setting the stage for this upgrade. But just when you thought you were going to get to the juicy part of the story, you got a cliffhanger and the miniseries isn't going to air for 2 more weeks. And you're like, what in the crap? Okay. Holding out for a hero. So, what's been going on in the age of Aquarius since all these shenanigans started? So I need Carmex. Give me water, I'm thirsty. I found this guy. I know it's a crystal, but it's still, my head thinks it's plastic. And I forgot that I had it. I found it when I was cleaning my pretend desk. Put this over here on the old stuff. Okay. Now we get into... that? Oh, I guess it goes to here. Okay. So in the interim, what we have been working on anytime from the last 22-ish, 24-ish 1,000 years until like 20 years ago. Okay, so we have the Ace of Rods, interesting. The Seven of Pentacles, so those are like code switches from the last era. We have the Five of Crystals inverted. So that Five of Pentacles is still not quite right. Now, in that... Is that really? I gotta look at that again. That's weird. Yeah. Yep. It's the same card. Now, usually inverted, this would mean that the people that were outside of the church don't feel left out in the cold. But here, with this deck, it's like you were given a false sense of security. You thought you were coming in from the cold, but it was a lie. Which is not a very different distinction from what I said earlier, but I just realized it was different. Now, in this deck, the pentacles are called crystals. We see that it's still inverted, which is interesting. Okay. So Five of Crystals inverted, but then Eight of Crystals upright. We got like a half a tower going here, and we've got some work. We're getting some work done. A lot of pentacles here. This is really interesting. Okay. A blessing on your boundaries, upright. You got a sword here. It's like this to me is like the Two of Swords, except that the lady took off her blindfold and she put down one of the swords because she's really trying to work on this backwards situation thing here. Also upright. A blessing to ease loneliness and bring companionship. So this one is a 33 and this is 40. Very auspicious numbers. Oh, my battery's crapping out. God damn it. And a blessing to find your way. 24, so that's a 6. So we have 6 and 6 and 40. Now notice that 6 and 4 is 10, so we have completions happening here. And if we use the 4 twice, we could say that it's karma as well. I'm going to have to change that battery. The battery charger. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see. Odds on battery. Alright. I've changed the battery. Okay, so this could be potentially... Oh, it could also be the tower. So a half a tower and then a whole tower. Right? No, did I do that wrong? 10 and 4. No. 12 and 4 is 16. Yeah, okay, so that's tower, half tower. And then we have 5, 6. So like 11s. And then 8. Okay, and then we have Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. So those are more of the cards upright in the interim here. Oh, just kidding. Get grounded. Empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. That's weird. That was a weird phrasing. That was totally not me messing up, reading upside down. Okay. And then I have the 8 of Swords, 8 of Air, Four of Water, the 7 of Fire here. So it's that same card, but now it's upside down and in a different system. And then we have Wisdom, number 10. So again, these major arcanas are different, but this guy looks a lot like the Hermit, and he's upside down. Okay. 7 and 7. Wasn't there another 7 under here? 5. Okay. Oh, I'm starting to get tired. Okay. I'm going to start by reading these. So I'm going to go with wisdom first. These are really long. Now this has different meanings for past, present, and future. But I think that it should be the past notion. Density. Destiny. Healing. Okay, wisdom. Okay. Okay, so we have keywords: knowledge, understanding, awareness, self-knowledge, illumination, introspection, withdrawal, insight, common sense. So we have some key phrases. You are here to become wise. Knowledge does not make you wise. Wisdom is learning from one's mistakes. Apply knowledge, logic, and common sense. Learn from more than just books. Seek out your elders. Time to break a cycle. Wisdom is understanding. Wisdom is loving the whole. Know and love your shadow. You have unlimited potential, and the road ahead leads to many destinations. Okay. So I want to read the past and then also the inverted. Okay, so when wisdom appears in the past position, it suggests that it is time to learn from more than just books. Seek out the elder wise ones and skilled masters in your family or community. If they are willing, allow them to mentor you. Observe, watch them work. Ask them about their lives, their beliefs. Listen to what they impart. Do not discredit or devalue their knowledge. They have lived a lifetime of experiences. They have made countless mistakes. They have fallen down and have struggled to get back up. They have feared and loved. They have lost. They have survived. With every experience, they have learned. Your elders have been looking at their options and making decisions for longer than you have been alive. They have become adept at choosing the right path for themselves, and what they can impart may just help you learn to do the same. It may also signify a need to look back and learn from past mistakes. You might be reliving the same experience over and over again because you have not yet learned the basic. I don't know why I said basic. You might be reliving the same experience over and over again because you have not learned the lesson being offered. It's time to break the cycle. Okay, so now I know why that's there. So this is saying that the guy, that the people in the past that were being greedy and playing a victim and being charitable for show haven't quite gotten it through their head that the lesson was to learn that that wasn't the right thing to do. And they're trying to learn from the elders who remember the King of Swords, who's trying to bring in this new information to change that cycle and break it. And here we have this wisdom that's not really being fully applied. They're saying, well, okay, I've heard the story of what happened in the last age of Aquarius, but what does that mean for me? Like, what am I supposed to do about it? So it's upside down, and so we have this blockage. We all have a side to our nature that is not pretty or kind, depending on one's perspective and point of view. We are all guilty of judging others, of being critical, of being selfish, and by putting our own needs before the needs of others. We all possess the ability to be unkind, intolerant, and closed-minded. We've all had moments when we have been both dogmatic and bombastic. Sure. Asks you to accept these moments and understand their necessity, or the loving necessity of the shadowy aspects of your nature. So like I said, the guy before had that moon energy coming up in that blessing card. So that's the shadow aspect. Yeah, otherwise you will only see part of the lesson being offered. That's like, okay, I see that, but what's it got to do with me? You'll see minor details instead of the whole, and the whole truth is that if you stand in the light, you will cast a shadow. There's that nugget. Without this recognition, you find the journey toward wisdom a long and arduous one. Therefore, look to this reversal as presenting you with the opportunity to look within and question what you fear, hate, or condemn in others, and deny or condemn within yourself. So it's like that other card. It's like not like saying, oh, how did I bring this upon me? Why did I attract this crap? It's saying, oh, these are aspects that I have in my shadow that I'm trying to work through, and I see this other person is working through their shadow as well. So in that way, when you work through it, you're still helping the collective, but you're also being an individual, which is, again, that Aquarian idea. It's not saying, oh, they're here to punish me because I brought this on myself. It's saying, they're working on their shit, I'm working on my shit, and if we both work on our shit, then we can help everybody by being an example of how to either overcome that, or just by, having walked through our shadow, and now we can say, hey, I'm going to catch some rays. And that's why we have the Ace of Rods here, a new beginning with some fire. And the Seven of Pentacles is saying, hey, we did this, we spent some time growing our stuff, and it's going to be a harvest now. We got something to look forward to. Let's see if there's anything else here. The darker aspects of your nature can often be your greatest teachers. And while the truths revealed may sometimes be harsh and uncomfortable, they bring with them the power to heal and empower, which is what I just said. So use this time to get to know those aspects of your nature that you may pretend not to have noticed and seen them in the light. Know them, learn from them, see them change and become beautiful as your perspective shifts. Okay. So that whole thing of the previous age was perspective shift, of this new idea coming in. And this is when it's time to reflect and say, this darker aspect of giving and not really giving, and this lighter aspect of a new altruistic idea are both are part of me, and I need to integrate them and learn from it. And not, the judgment and the karma is not saying, I brought this on myself, or you're doing this to me. It's, these are things that I've learned from experiencing this, and now I can go out and say, oh, I've seen how it is to be treated like crap, and how it is to actually give, and to think that giving hurts me, and this is what I've learned. So I have time set aside for me, and I have time set aside for everyone else, but it's not actually a problem, because I see the bigger picture is that everything is interconnected. Okay. Alright, so this, I really see this card as a combination of the last, let's take my time. Okay. I'm going to pull them out again. I didn't, where's she? Okay. This card could not be more of a combination of these two cards if I had planned it that way. So you have the Seven of Flames again. It's like it's like a junior princess, like here's the queen, and she's a princess, but she's like the third daughter of the king's concubine. That's like kind of a third or fourth wife. And so she's not super fancy. She doesn't get all the good clothes, and They just kind of tolerate her at court, even, and they're like, technically you're royal class, but later, like you're not inheriting the kingdom or anything. You can be a priest or a scholar. So she is essentially that's like a muted version of that defensive energy and also the queen energy. Now she's got a little lotus here, like the crystal lotus from the starseed card. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh my god, I didn't even realize that. Look at, what the hell? I went and grabbed this. Look at that. Ta-da. There we go. How about that? I didn't even do that on purpose. Okay. She's got her own little lotus thing here. She's trying to get this message. Now, this is inverted, so she's not defending this old position anymore. She's scrying. And she doesn't have one cat now, she's got two. She's not heavily polarized in this Leo energy. She's trying to open her third eye for this transformation, like this information from this indigo download from the Light Council. And so we have two cats here. We're not heavily polarized with that one flaming cat. We're trying to achieve some balance by bringing in this air in between the fire energy, this Leo energy. All right. And then also a butterfly would be an air elemental as well. Now, and again, she was reversed, and it has to do with, traditionally, with no longer standing up for what you believe in. And it could be false beliefs. It could be, I'm not going to defend what's indefensible anymore. I'm not going to stand up for this crap. So let me just read it from here, because again, this system is slightly different. And also, I hate it when the frickin' the suits are out of order. Usually it's wands, cups, swords, pentacles. And if they're out of order in the book, it totally throws me off and I can't stand it. It's like half the stuff that I have is out of order. It's like, you're out of order. Seven of Fire. Okay. I'm getting hoarse. Mr. Ed. Horse, of course. Okay. So the Seven of Fire. So the keywords here, like I said, divination, signs, heeding intuition, looking within, seeking answers, discovery, awareness, and trust. So it's really the counterpart to this. It's that going within. That this is a major arcana, and here is a minor arcana that's giving a story of continuation from that position of karma and rebirth. And it's saying we're going to recognize that we still have that energy as a background energy because we're a duality, but we're going to use it in line with what we're learning from this download that's more in line with the Aquarian energy. Okay. All right, so looking within, seeking answers, discovery, awareness, and trust. So key phrases: heed your intuition, a feeling of recognition, inexplicable coincidences, moments that repeat. So here, you're going to get repeater lessons until you fucking learn what you're supposed to learn. Personal interpretation is crucial. I don't know why I suddenly almost couldn't say interpretation properly. Only you know the answer. Look beyond the surface. Observe and be aware. Okay. Now, because it's inverted, we have a potential blockage here. It says, divination means to foretell or predict the future. Sometimes our intuition guides us, and at other times it is a simple awareness born of observation and paying attention. Other times it's a marriage of both. Every day we are given signs that, if heeded, can reveal what is to come. The Seven of Fire reversed represents a need to watch for those signs and heed the insights they offer. Observe the people around you. Look closely at patterns of behavior that repeat, and pay attention to words spoken that lack mirroring actions. Take note of promises broken, overreactions to questions, and inability to meet the eyes, and laughter that seems forced or contrived. They're all indications that there is more going on. Learn to watch, learn to listen. Heed what your observation and senses are telling you. If you have a tendency to dismiss them, don't. Don't ignore them. Yeah, so don't ignore those red flags. If you got somebody who's acting like a total douche, and you can tell there's something off in their behavior, pay attention. Narcissistic codependency. If your gut tells you that something is not as it seems, then look beyond the surface and see what is truly there, and then address it. Cautions you against being dismissive. Pay attention, look, observe, discern the truth, address the contradictions and inconsistencies. See the signs, even the ones that might not seem... See the signs, even the ones that might seem a little obscure and insignificant. They may foretell a future that is not in accordance with your goals. Okay, so now that you're trying to work on yourself, you need to still be aware of other people being duplicitous. Okay, so here we're working on duality. Here we're saying watch out for duplicity. It's like almost the same word. We have 17. That's a star altogether. Interesting. Okay. So then we have this Four of Cups inverted. Now, traditionally, this Four of Water is dissatisfaction with what you're giving. It's the guy sitting on a tree with 3 cups and one coming down from divine, and he's like, I don't want it. I don't like it. Nope. And in the Starseed deck, it's a woman sitting in the water, and she's sad because she wants to go home because she doesn't like it here anymore. This one has its own meaning. This guy, no, this came out reversed, but this guy is seeing beauty. I remember reading this one, actually. He's seeing beauty in his scars. He's battle-worn. He's like this king over here from before. He's seen a lot of shit, and he's been... Alright. This is apparently going to be my reading where I keep forgetting that I have a time limit on my segments. So I was saying, this guy, he's like the king over here. He's seen a lot of shit. He's battle-worn. He's also like this guy here. He's like, I used to be this guy. I used to be real stingy and act in a way, and I really worked through this. I beat my own face up trying to get through this enlightenment phase and really figure out what's going on. And now I can actually look myself in the mirror, and I feel good about myself. And that's it. And really feeling good, feeling like there's beauty in me despite having come through this darkness. And in the water element, it's very much a feeling. Now, because I had to restart this, I don't remember if I said that in the other deck it's like dissatisfaction or I want to go home. But this came out reversed. So I'm just going to read this for this Dreams of Gaia system. Okay. So keywords: confidence, awareness, self-acceptance, forgiving, self-belief, deserving, receptive, and consequences. So key phrases: you are beautiful, Be aware of weaknesses, but focus on strengths, mistake, and opportunity to learn. Let go of the ideal of perfection. Love yourself for who you are, happiness at another's expense, and the emotional cost of your actions. Okay, so here the scarring is literal, but it doesn't have to be. It can be emotional scarring, PTSD, just this always getting really down on yourself, feeling like you're not good enough, that kind of thing. So here it's going through this awareness of self and others as well. Now, because it came out in this challenge or blockage position, we're going to read that. So, you are worthy and deserving of all that you dream of, but remember, so is everyone else. What if your joy comes at the expense of another person? Can you stand tall and proud and have respect for yourself if your happiness carries the price of another person's heartbreak or failure? Can you take genuine delight in your circumstances? Unintentional actions that cause hurt are one thing and can be forgiven. But what of the emotional consequences of an act done with awareness and intent? The Four of Water, when it appears reversed, cautions you against vanity, arrogance, selfishness, and self-importance, and symbolizes a need to look yourself in the eyes. Are you about to choose a path that leads to another's distress or downfall? If the answer is yes, be mindful of the fact that the universal law of cause and effect will hold court and sit in judgment. As always, there will be a reward and consequence offered. If your choice is to continue forward knowing that you may bring emotional anguish to another, be sure that the reward is far greater than the price you may end up paying. If you are at a crossroads, don't do it. If you still have the opportunity to answer no and have your actions reflect that choice. Oh, you still do. Okay. So, in this era, this guy from before didn't think about how his actions affected other people. He's saying, I'm going to pretend to give to you, but it's really all about me. And I don't care if you're unhappy afterwards, because, you know, I can write off my charity giving on my taxes. Now here he's saying, well, if I try to shortchange somebody so that my business makes a profit and the shareholders are willing to give me and my cronies bonuses because of all the money we made off of treating other people like crap, can I look myself in the mirror, or am I going to feel sad knowing that I screwed people over? That example has to do with this Piscean corporate basically greed, I won't say paradigm, but social norm that we're living in now. So in the last age, this character didn't care about what anybody else. Here, he's like, wait a minute. Is this gonna F me over? Or am I gonna have to pay for this later on? There's an idea of other at that point. So now we have the king. Wait, is it? No, it's not the king. It reminds me of the King of Swords. But we have the 8 here. Now, it's interesting because I said this lady here looks like the 2 of Swords card, but this guy on the 8 is holding the 2 swords. Like he's been practicing, but look, he's chained. Now, traditionally, the 8 of Swords is I want to break free. I'm breaking free of my mental prison. I'm trapped. I'm blindfolded. It also is very similar. Where's that fucking guy? That asshole. Where the fuck? I'm tired at this point where half of my words are now going to be swears, apparently. Since I don't have any advertisers, I don't have to censor any of that shit. Okay, so this... Okay, here we go. Look at these symbols here. So we have the earth inverted, and then we have air. So we're basically, the symbol looks the same, and we're going from 6 to 7. And we still have chains and a key here. And we have something at the throat. And we have something on the shoulders. We have a beard. And we have something, some horns going on. So it's, this guy is going to become the King of Swords. He's on his way. He's training. He's realizing that he has been in his own mental prison, and that in order to get out of this sense of I am a victim, you're inconveniencing me, this has been his perspective, and when he gets his third eye awakened, he can come out of this inverted energy and say, oh, I was the one that created that for me. I could have just been free to move around the whole time. And then we have this polarity balance. And here it's this idea of reckoning with the blood. I'm also going to read this again because this system is different. But this is what I'm seeing. And this wings has to do with brain activity. It's the hemispheres of the brain. He's integrating male and female. It's not a period. Okay. No timing. All right, so the 8 of hair. Hair, baby, hair, mom. Okay, so the 8. My throat is getting raspy from doing this reading. Okay. Ego, truth, power, responsibility, consequences, cause and effect, lessons learned, and memory. Ego does not always tell the truth. Effect will always follow cause. Time to change your ways. Admit that you made a mistake. Memory is imperfect. Self-justification does not mitigate harm. Consequences are inescapable, and we all make mistakes. So the way that this deck is running this card, it's kind of like a half devil. I say that 8 and 9 can be like half star, and 9 can also be like a half moon, like a half dream, a half, like 8 and 9 could be a half wish, and in that same way 7 and 8 could be like a half devil. And that's the energy that I'm getting here. It's like this is half a tower, we're halfway there. This is saying we're coming down off of this chain devil energy, because they're not as tight there, and the key is more accessible. It's right there. It's like they've already been unlocked. They're just kind of hanging there because he hasn't thrown them off his arms yet. So we're loosening this grip on being chained to basically like base desires and greed and things like that. And also I have this, he's all white here, so he's gone from a darker phase to a lighter phase and coming out of his shadow element, and he's gained some wisdom over here, like this guy, the white hair. He's like Moses when he sees the burning bush in the movie. His hair gets all white from the radiation. So we're in a... This has like 3 pages of stuff here about the ego. I'm going to skim this real quick. Our ego is in part our identity. The center of our consciousness is driven by our instincts and base desires and constrained by culture and society. It can have us feeling confident and certain, or it can have us feeling uncertain and afraid. Now, usually the 8 of Swords is... You'd think somebody would be afraid, because it's usually a woman who's tied up and blindfolded and naked. So many of us are afraid of the truth. Our ego will work hand in hand with our primal instincts to do what it can to protect us. If our ego is wounded or we have been taught to fear, the defense mechanisms employed may also be detrimental to good health, well-being, and to our relationships with others. So in the past, this character was basically greedy and making false pretenses of giving to society because he feared that he wasn't going to have enough. There's a sense of lack. So our need to feel safe, to feel good, to be right, to be better, to be needed, and to be loved can result in the evidence at hand, reality, being distorted and shaped to fit our perception of events so that what we want to believe is in conflict with the fact. So, and also that has to do with the 7 of Wands energy, that 7 flames of defending your position, whether it's real or not, and the idea of you're in a prison of your own creation, and that blindfolded, trapped person with the 8 swords around them can set themselves free because it's of their own making. It's an illusion. It's virtual reality. What's that thing that people have now? That virtual reality thing. Damn it, I wish I remember what it's called. Cognition is the process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and senses. Cognitive dissonance is conflict that arises when an individual attempts to hold on to 2 conflicting beliefs or thought processes at the same time. So really there's cognitive dissonance between greed and charity, where you can pretend to give to other people and then take or complain about it. That's really a dissonance. You're doing 2 things at the same time. The left hand isn't watching what the right hand is doing. And it gives examples of justification of addiction as well. Self-justification, defense mechanisms. Continuing to do something or believe something that is doing us or others harm. It's the ego protecting yourself. But while we can embrace a natural and normal state of denial, we are unlikely to escape the consequences of our actions. We can deny and suppress, we can rationalize, and we can justify, but every action gives rise to a consequence. And those consequences can be both favorable or not. So that really has to do with karma coming back around to bite you in the ass. It's a challenging card because it symbolizes the need to look at your beliefs and behavior and question them. Take responsibility for your thoughts, actions, and consequences they give rise to. Humility. Projecting your feelings onto others. Take this opportunity to take charge of your life. Embrace your personal power by learning from your mistakes so that you grow in wisdom and awareness. Be humble and accept the truth that your ego is not always honest and that you are not always right. Your ego might have been your best interest. Your ego might have your best interests at heart, but it will offer self-justification in order to make you feel good about your behavior, in order to protect you from the harsher truth about in order to protect you from the harsher truth that your actions may have been misguided or harmful. The path to enlightenment is made up of our mistakes and the lesson learned from them along the way. Wisdom is earned, not bestowed. Okay. So this is really, again, like those, the 5 and 6 paired from the other deck. Now we have 4 and 8, so we've got this like a fractal, like a multiplication, like a level up. This guy is this guy. And this guy is this guy. So there, again, it's a pair signifying the same thing. It's saying you need to check your ego now that you realize that you might be hurting other people. And that is this wisdom and the ability to look at other people's motives as well. And see yourself reflected in that. Oh my god, that was ridiculous. Okay, so additionally, this Five of Crystals comes in and saying, are you going to be content if you know that you've broken all of someone else's toys? It's saying, it's giving us 9 together, which is that like half moon idea of we've actually taking a look at our own darkness. And then you see too that this woman here in the cloak is kind of like this guy here. It's going with the wisdom. So we have 19 here, which is the sun illumination, which is that fire background energy as well. And this guy here is responding to this 8 here. It's saying, check your ego. Now you need to do this work. And then we have this tower moment. And then the tower has to do with, it's that moment after the devil. Because the devil is 15, and then we say 16 is the tower. So 8 of Crystals is doing work. And here, instead of having a little crystal flower, we have these I'm just laughing because the word that came to mind isn't really appropriate. This crystal plinth or little sticks, you know what they look like. So he's made all these things. He's saying, oh, I see this clearly now, I see this clearly now, I see this clearly now. I've taken all these swords that were my prison, and I'm making them into little radio receivers for this information that's going to help me clear out this crap foundation that I built for myself. And there was a 4 back here somewhere as well that I said, oh, I know what it was. It's foundation. So now we're saying, oh, okay, we need to bring this out of the inverted position, and we're going to build it into a tower and jump out of it, because we realize that we need to rebuild. And this is doing the work to bring yourself out of this ego moment. Where am I at? Okay, and then again here, this is the foundation after. Okay, so this is the foundation after that tower moment where we're rebuilding. We have this 4 of the foundation number with the 0 of the new beginning, and that's what's going to happen after we do this ego work here, and resolve this forgiveness of self and others. And then again, the forgiveness has to do also with this guy right here as well, and he's saying, oh, okay, I'm all right. And I read that one before. No, I didn't read that one yet. Okay. So blessing to ease loneliness and bring companionship. So this here, this being left out in the cold, also has to do with loneliness too. Is if you push others away with your shadow behavior, and we have this shadow in here, then you eventually will be lonely as well, no matter how greedy you might have been. So let me read that. A blessing to ease loneliness and bring companionship. 40. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a blessing for when we find ourselves without those touchstones of our humanity. And here it says, our friends and companions. Now, if you're acting from ego and you're distorted, and your inner elements are imbalanced, then you will be without your touchstones of humanity, and doesn't really have to do anything with friends and companions necessarily. Okay. So it says, a period of loneliness quite different to solitude can take place for many reasons. We can move away, or lives can change and be reshaped, and suddenly the space we found for each other has been closed off or absorbed by others. Sometimes we isolate ourselves, unwilling to be a burden to any others, and some are born into shyness and paralyzing social anxieties that make the seeking of friendships a terrifying thing. Now, if that's the case, then that might be why you want attention, or you're making pretenses of giving only to really keep for yourself, because nobody's ever given anything to you. Why would you give back? Okay, so this blessing is for you when you feel alone. Let there be that call, that note, that memory that comes forth to remind you of your innate worthiness. Let there be that smile from a stranger or touch from a kind hand that lets you know your humanity is the same as theirs, and you have about you connections that can be rewoven. Let the loneliness begin to break like clouds slowly moving apart, and the great heaviness of isolation begin to be lightened by loving companions, human and otherwise, until you return to a place where you know you have within your life those who care for you, and without your presence their life seems less bright. Okay, so that really has to do with that idea of going out of Pisces, where it's individual, everyone out for themselves, and it can be lonely. And when you've been living in this shadow society, I don't want to say paradigm, I don't think that's right, a template or a norm where it's really just fight for what you can get, and you're not thinking about group or society, then when you come into the Aquarian energy that we're going to be working in, it's the idea of, okay, I'm still an individual, but I'm contributing to a community, and if I'm not there, then something is missing. And that is where you get this healing of loneliness, but also companionship, because people notice when you're gone if you're contributing your own individual personality to the group. What are you're bringing something that's different. And that's the whole point of going through this phase of darkness, of becoming an individual. Because when you're a group and you're in a hive mind, if you leave, nobody gives a crap, because the next person in the hive just comes and fills in your spot. But here, this is something that's totally different. It's saying we're all individuals, but that individuation makes us stronger as a group, because now we have all this different pattern, this different ideas and skills and stuff. It's like, potato famine kills off half of Ireland because it was the only crop they were growing. If they were growing 10 different crops, the famine wouldn't have hurt as much because they still have other stuff to eat. That's very simplistic, but that's the idea. If you kill off one thing, people are going to miss it, but they'll still survive because there's so many different ideas that'll come in and help change something. Why is this reading so long? So, a blessing to find your way, number 6. So we have 2 and 4 here. So it's like 2 times 4 is 8. So we're getting this 2, 4, 6, 8 energy. This leveling up, but it's in pairs. Okay? Because we're in pairs now, because we're doing ourselves and we're doing other people together. We're thinking about others, we're thinking about ourselves, we're getting these downloads. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and we're coming in with this energy. We're trying to figure out where we're going. We've like that traditional 8 of Swords with the woman who's blindfolded and naked and surrounded by swords. And she's freed up, but doesn't really know where to go. We have this little flower of hope growing down here. So let's see what this one says. Blessing to find your way. Okay. Okay. So a blessing for when we find ourselves utterly lost and unsure of which way to go. Whichever direction we turn in seems as dense and dark as the other. There is no one to show us the way. Where's that guy? There's no light with which to see the path. There's no map for where you find yourself. When we find ourselves in that space where we are utterly bereft of where to turn, of what to do, of whom to trust, let this blessing help you find your way once again. You once knew where you were headed. You once knew who you were. You once could trust in that inner compass that would help you turn and walk the true north of your life. But now you are lost. You are without direction, and seem only to entangle yourself more with every turn and twist as you seek to escape. This blessing will help you still your movement and rekindle the quiet knowing within you once again. Okay, so again, I'm getting shades of this guy in particular, and then the idea of knowing where you're going has to do with the... Where's he? Where's the king? Where's my buddy, old pal over here? There it is. Okay. It's like you thought you knew where you were going, and then you thought you had some clarity, although he wasn't really sure, but he was like, I'm gonna go. I'm at, okay. May you surrender to this moment and let yourself be still and quiet a while. May you seek not to move, but to observe. So here's observing. And here's feeling. May you seek to observe and to feel, and to come back into connection with yourself. As you do this, may you be blessed with the sight to pierce the darkness and to see what lies ahead. Rediscover yourself. May a sense of relaxed and graceful certainty begin to deliver you from this period of vulnerability, yet let the gifts of understanding and compassion of the inner knowing which can unite us all be with you always. What a freaking sentence length in this book. Give yourself the space and time to allow your core to speak to you again. For its voice was dulled by the noise of the world. That's the world that we come out of. It's just constant barrage of do this, do that. The apparent certainty of knowing who we are. When we lose that, we can finally have the moment in which we can see the soul clearly without bias and cliche. May this process of loss and re-enrichment bring you the blessing of your own self. Okay. So again, this whole thing is really focusing inward on working through your shadow to integrate and to find yourself in the balance of those, the light and the dark, of getting clarity on what you're doing so you can have that tower moment and rebuild yourself. So a blessing on your boundaries. 33. And again, for me, this is like, I really see this as a Two of Swords card, even though she's only got the one sword. Where's that guy? Where is it? Oh, there. Okay. So even here, it's a pair. 3 of 3 is a pair, which is 6. So they got that 2, 4, 6, 8 energy again, and it's like training. And again, here, if you're trapped, then your boundaries are literally around you. Here it has to do with like mental clarity and mental boundaries, because she's holding that sword. A blessing on your ability to decide where you end and where others begin, on what you will do gladly and without regret, and what you cannot be compelled to do, for it would be against your own nature. So again, that's like saying, you know, I don't want to give to you. I don't want to help you because I want more for me. So if that's your boundary, then you say, I'm not going to pretend to give to you when it's hurting me. Even if you're not being charitable, maybe that's where you're at in your journey, but that has to do with that boundary. Within this lifetime, there will be times when you are unsure of what is most important and what is best for you to do. You will not be sure of why you wish to do something, and when it comes to others, specifically others for whom we have strong feelings, it can be a challenge indeed to know what is best to do, and to know why we sometimes feel great misgivings when it comes to offering our time, our love, our money, and gifts to another for their use. This blessing comes a certainty that in this situation, you will know the difference between what is best for you to do and what another wants you to do. May you be blessed with the ability to say no quietly and without apology to the boss who asks for too much, to the partner who asks you to put your own needs aside for theirs. May this blessing draw clearly the lines that mark out your own emotional landscape and make a map, again, that word map, of who you are and where you end, so that you may know when others intrude into your space and mind, your heart and home without invitation. With this blessing of boundaries, let there be respect and consultation and a renewed appreciation of your own needs and desires. May this blessing give you the power to close a door, to open a window, to ask for help in return, and to support yourself by beginning to respect and acknowledge what it is you need. Okay. So the opening a window really reminds me of jumping out of the tower. It's like you've built up this wall around yourself, and you didn't have a door, so unless you're Rapunzel and you got a whole bunch of hair that you can climb down, you got to be jumping out of that tower because you want to break free. And it's really all about this mental clarity of okay, this is me, and now there's everybody else. So again, it's this idea of, okay, who am I, and then how am I contributing to the whole? Like, I can choose. I don't just have to do what people tell me to do. And again, it's making way for that transition from the idea of Aquarius and actively doing Aquarius. Okay, so here this is just saying, okay, I'm growing my own little path in the world, and I'm not rushing. And then again, that devil energy from before, now it's in this Venus position, okay, of the upright star. So we're starting to get comfortable in our own area. It was like the I gotta find the other card. Okay. So turning it over is like saying, I feel safe in the world. I feel comfortable. I have enough of my own stuff. I've taken the time to grow this. And now I can rise out of the ashes of myself with this new inspiration of who I am. And oh, I'm not quite done yet with the how it's been since. Okay, so this came out upside down. Again, the Work Your Light Oracle doesn't have inversions. It's just like a delay or a slight blockage. Okay, so we have these two hand in hand together. So this is checking other people's motives. We have the same, basically the same person here. And it says empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. So here where this lady's in nature, and here she's out here practicing her thoughts. It's saying figure out who you are. And then we have this idea of flowers and intuition together and this balance. So like this is one cat, this is the other cat. Okay, so it's intuit, but stay in touch with the earth. Work on yourself, ground. Be present in your environment, and that's why it's in the challenge position. Now we have Pleiades here. We have double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. Okay, so really the double mission is channeling and saying like, who am I? And then uplifting humanity is working with other people. And then we have all these people coming down, like these little, there's like all these people coming down like this, and at the same time as, where's my other card? My card. At the same time, like, it's like a combination of this card and this card. We're bringing all these people down, and they're getting downloads as well. And we're all working towards that double mission of individuality and working with the group. Alright, so after like an hour and a half, we're going to get into the current / next / today, happening, next week, dawning of Aquarius. What's going to be finished in the next 2160 years that was started over here. So let me lay these out here. We got a whole crap ton. 6 Aquarius deck cards. 2 of Cups. Noise. Page of Cups inverted. Queen of Swords. Ah, the Hermit. Okay. The Hanged Man inverted. I'll put him down here. And the 3 of Swords. Okay. There we go. That's right now. Okay. Okay. 5 of Flames inverted. Master of Orbs. Oh, hells yes. He's going up here next to the Queen. Because that's Swords. King of Swords, Queen of Swords. End of conflict. Waking up. We have Inner Temple, Devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. Okay. Move this over here a little bit. Sewing box over. Okay. Okay. I could have just moved the camera, I guess. Still focused, alright. Okay. A blessing for a mother, inverted, that's a 12, breaking down to a 3. A blessing on your love, 17. This is like the hot dude card. And number 2, the Maiden, inverted. Interesting. 13, Union, inverted. We have the 9 of water. This card looks like pheromone. Same wig, everything. Okay. And the 10 of earth inverted. So we're going to stick this. Just put it over here, I guess. Okay. Now, right away, I can tell that the King and the Queen of Swords popping out have to do with this truth and communication. The fact that he popped back out here... keep 2 stacks here. The fact that he popped out both in the past and currently is really important. It's really saying that the driving force of new communication is coming from male energy. But we can see that throughout here, we started with the Queen of Fire, and now she's also the Queen of Swords. So she's gone from that Leo energy into this Aquarian energy, and she's matched him, which is why we have the 2 of Cups here, because they're simpatico. They're using their intuition to work together. They're matching each other, but there isn't. We're saying we're not in union. We're working together, but we're staying separate. This is 13 too, which goes back to that idea of death and rebirth as well. So we've gone through that death cycle from the Queen of Wands, and we're saying, oh, we can work together if we're in the same energy, but we don't have to be bound to each other. We can still be an individual, and it has to do with fixing this loneliness by getting in tune with who we really are, which is where we've ramped up. So we've gone through this nightmare. Wait, is that? Oh, that's not nightmare. 9. The 9 of water is dreams. Okay, so we've gone from heartache into this dream world, and we've got code switching to the Hermit, which is, we had kind of in reverse with that wisdom card, very similar. So now we're saying, okay, we've gone within, and we were hanging out until we figured it out. This is 12, and now we've woken up from this dream. Okay, so it says devotion, inner temple, tune into the portal of your heart. So that's what all this is. And when we come back, we can say, oh, okay, now I know where I'm at. So this Page of Cups inverted to me just says that we're not starting over in an emotional sense. We're giving that cup to ourselves by going into this temple. We're feeding our own needs. Okay. So, okay, okay, so here's 12, right? The maiden number 2, which is in place of the High Priestess in this deck. Like I said, 12 minutes when I went there too. Okay, so 10 of Earth inverted is that materialistic sense. And then we have So it's almost like, here we go. The maiden, the mother, and then we can say, even though she's not old here, this is like the crone. So we have 12, 12. And it's like 2, so we got 2, 4, 6, 8, and then we got 10, and then we got 12. Now this is the same energy as the Hanged Man. So here it's the feminine energy is hanging out. Okay? She was that queen that was burning through everything, that death cycle. But she's moved back into this 12 energy, but it's inverted. So it's like, basically, even though these are upside down, they're matching that Hangman that's upside down. So everyone is just paused and ready to move forward. They're waking up to this idea. Now with this idea of threefold goddess, we're getting Empress energy as well, which has to do with abundance and insight and authority over the elements. And here we have a resolution of conflict. Okay, we have the sun here, we have Leo energy, we have the 5 flames, the 5 wands, the 5 rods that usually have to do with fighting, aggression, and things like that. So we're going to stop fighting the 2 different halves of our brain, and we're going to work together and realize that our differences make us stronger, which is why this Union card goes from the 12, 12 here to the 13, and then we drop through back to a 2 again, which is basically 1 and 1, so that's 11, and this is 11, which is saying that timing is coming back through. And then we have 17 here, which is the star, which is like the wish. It says a blessing on your love. So here, it's like you can say you can have love and work together without sacrificing yourself. And then we have this crescent here with the moon. So we're saying, okay, we've looked at the shadows. We've had this new moon. We're going through these phases. We've come through this portal, and now we have this guy here. What the fuck was he? I gotta find him again. This guy. Alright, he was upside down, he was chained, he was in a negative phase, and look at him now. He's got a necklace on, he's wearing the snake from the 7 of flames over here. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where's she at? There she is. Oh, yeah. See, now he's wearing the snake as a necklace. Okay, he's got this sort of glowing energy that she brought in. His horns have grown into the air more than of the earth. He's got some styling going on here. So it's like the same guy. And now he's gone from this 6 to a 17 here, so he's gone from 6 to 8, so he's leveled up with this 2 energy. Alright, so let me get into these cards here. Let me just read a blessing on your love. Time. 7 minutes, okay. 17. It's really hot guy. Okay. 17. Okay. Okay, a blessing on the discovery of the affinity of one soul for another. So really, that's like, I am in tune with my own soul, and now I care for other people. And it could be an individual. It might be saying like, oh, if your job during the age of Aquarius is to fall in love with somebody, and that's how you how you bring caring to everyone around you, fine, but we're saying it might not just be an individual. It's saying your soul cares for the other souls around you, and that way you're bringing your uniqueness to the group and helping in some way. May the fragile beginnings of love between you bring to life qualities within you that will be your soul's true calling. So that really has to do with your like life's work and purpose. May the darker times that beset all companions of the heart teach you what to hold on to and what to open your hands to easily let go of. May this love send you back to the world restored, whole, eager for the knowing of it, and when you return to each other, may there be space for both to share and learn of what shaped you that day. Okay. Let passion be long-lived, let your spirit's flame be both tended and stoked by the other, and may you be a friend of the soul, a bringer of laughter, and a light in the times when the shadows gather and fall. Let this love be your light, and may it guide you well, warm you always, and help you see all more clearly. Okay. So again, that has to do with like that whole journey of the different, of the last age, the work that happened in the interim, and now what's happening in this final installment of the miniseries. Okay. I just want to skim this just to see what's going on. Alright, so I feel like this was inverted mostly to show that it goes with the Hanged Man and that it's not as important a message as an individual card. But this is interesting here. It says, the state and rights of motherhood evolve just as her child will grow and change into their own true self. So I think really that has to do with you are nurturing your own soul's growth into your own purpose. With that. Was that the... That was the... Okay. Okay. Let me get some deeper meaning from these cards here. I want to get to the Union card first because actually I should do that one last because it's probably the most critical. Let me get to the Maiden just to see if there's something really important going on there. Again, that's... Ooh. Where am I at? Where the hell? Oh, there she is. Okay. So when I said this was like the Two of Swords, the Two of Swords is like a low vibe High Priestess. And this card in this deck is the High Priestess, or in place of where the High Priestess would be. And I see her as being the same as this one here. So she's giving this youthful, feminine energy. And now here she's just kind of reposed, and here she's sort of actively thinking. Like here she's in her cups, and here she's in her swords energy. Or pentacles, because she's very green. Especially because in this older phase, it's actually pentacles. But let me just skim this real quick. Start bending half the pages in the book. Why can't... Oh, here we go. Okay. I need more water. So the keywords: fertility, independence, self-esteem, confidence, self-expression, self-exploration, self-interest, sexuality, creativity, selfishness, codependence, timidity. It says, follow your dreams, discover your passions, focus on self-discovery, address self-imposed limits and restrictions, increased independence, seek your own answers, Release feelings of fear and abandonment, craving attention, needing rescue, express goals and desires, be true to self, and acting with empathy. Okay, so in this potentially blockage energy that goes with this hanged man vibe of waiting for clarity and inspiration. It says, look at your dreams and aspirations. Are you acting from a place of genuine love and desire to improve yourself, or are you resisting because you want things to go your way without a care for others? When we choose to follow our own path, it is not always possible to avoid hurting or saying no to those we care for. However, we can say no with mindfulness, empathy, and understanding. Be firm but kind. Be clear when expressing your desires and goals. Take into account the needs and feelings of others and avoid behavior that makes you appear childish or selfish. This behavior will not help others to understand your decisions or respect your choice to walk your own path. Okay? So it really does go with this mother card of you're working through this infancy of being integrated. You're trying really hard to be in this strong phase of love for yourself so that you can love others. And here it's saying, okay, you're on the right track. Stay in that mode where you're staying with integrity for your newfound self. And now you have to think about not just what you're doing, but what your dreams are for the future. Okay, so let's... Yeah, I have to go to that one next. Okay. So let's go to the Nine of Water. This is a really long one. Okay. Okay, so the words here: illumination, acceptance, openness, emotional enlightenment, strength, courage, fear, ignorance. It says, open your heart. Past experiences leave an emotional imprint. Shine a light on the source of the emotional pain. The effect of past experiences on the present moment. The weight of your emotions. Emotional enlightenment. Ignorance is not bliss. Break the cycle. Remove the emotional hooks. Okay, so I don't really need to read further into that. It's just reiterating all the other stuff over again. And again, we see that we're in the shadow, and now we're getting enlightenment, this sort of download while we work on our heart center. And then get into the Ten of Pentacles here, and I'm seeing, because of the red in her hair, that she's got a little bit of that leonine energy going on, while also being in that Seven of Pentacles energy as well. The Ten of Pentacles. Queen of Earths. So, words: synthesis, harmony, highest ideals, reward, inner peace, authenticity, grace, look within, a time of reward, everything is coming together, move through life with surety, understand your place and purpose, do not be daunted by change, strength gained from experience, why do you feel lack, dissatisfaction, and discomfort? Okay, so this is in the reversed. So it says, you have every reason to be happy, and yet the reversed Ten of Earth symbolizes an element of dissatisfaction or uneasiness. Everything has manifested as you had hoped, and you still feel that something is missing. The appearance of this card reversed symbolizes the need to determine the source of your discomfort. If there is no external cause or reason, it is time to look within. Okay, so it's kind of like saying the resolution of internal conflict is making you feel like something's missing. So we go 5-10. You're trying to complete overcoming this inner conflict, but you've been in conflict so long that your ego's gotten addicted to it, and the lack of conflict is making you feel like something is missing, and it's giving you this like holographic sense of loss when you have an And you do need to work to overcome that, but what you have available is waking up out of just hanging out trying to figure what's going on. You're waking up, you have a new foundation, you've got this kind of, it's like your throat chakra is sending this signal down to your loins to say, get moving. And might be a little bit of acid reflux there in the process while your whole chakra system is being reworked. But ultimately the goal is to go from that sense of losing your battle, not that you've lost the battle, but that the battle is like no longer part of you, and realizing that you don't have to have this acid reflux all the time, that you can be this phoenix and rise up out of the flames instead of, sending them back down. And that's where this heartbreak comes in too. It's like you feel sad, like maybe you resolved your battle, but you still feel like an asshole, and you're gonna hurt about it for a while, which is probably also why you don't feel like you're able to give, because you feel like you're still missing something, which is why the page is also inverted. And this is also 11 as well, a 1 or an 11. So you could say 1, 3, 13, there's another ego death happening, and then also like a like a 14 for a rebalancing. And 9. We already kind of went over the Hermit. That's that inner work, gaining enlightenment. And 12 minutes, okay. So let's read the Union. This ego death. And it's inverted. Union 13. It's really in place of the death card, which, I mean, death is also transformation as well. So you could almost say that this union is transformation, but it's stalled out, or there's a block to it. There's more work that has to be done. Where am I at? 13. I really don't want to talk anymore, but I need to finish this. My throat feels raw. There it is. Oop. Okay. So, keywords: wholeness, marriage, unity, connection, integration, harmony, alignment, peace. So key phrases: unity and wholeness, harmony arises when we are in alignment. You have unlimited potential, a path that marries science and spirituality. Okay, so that's exactly what Aquarius is doing. Okay, so it's innovation and technology, but it's also putting aside these rote religions that you've been given and finding your own spiritual path. It says duality creates separation. Now, the way that this author has written duality is opposite of how I see it, so I don't agree with that. Duality creates movement. Okay, so I'm saying that specifically. Duality creates movement. The separation comes when you're in this energy. So we have marriage of body, mind, and soul. All is connected. Complete self-acceptance. Do not dominate or be submissive. Which is what that maiden was trying to do. Oh, it says, you are a temple, worship within. And then you have this inner temple. Oh! Fear and need, cornerstones of dependency. Okay. So it's inverted, and it's kind of in the future as well. stepping into the void within and using this time ahead to create. Center yourself, allow peace to flow through you, and fill your senses. What you do with this powerful moment is your choice, but make the time to use it. Okay, so that's literally these two cards just being reiterated with this. Okay, so now because it's inverted, we have a potential blockage. It says, fear and need, two things that can destroy harmony and peace within all aspects of our life, especially in our relationships with others. If you are lonely and seeking a partner to assuage that loneliness, you are likely to found your relationship upon need and fear. You may build it upon an unstable foundation that has the potential to develop into dependency. Okay, so ask yourself, do you want a relationship right now that is the meeting of two minds and hearts as equals, right here, that is free of doubt and insecurities that erode and weaken the bond of love? If so, would it be better first to have a loving relationship with yourself and address the doubts and fears so they are no longer the driving force or motivation for seeking a relationship? Okay. Be your own best friend. Be at happy and at peace in your own company, and you will never be lonely again, whether you are with someone or not. Okay, so really this has to do with... I was right, it wasn't really to do with this. It was about being complete as an individual. This guy right here, he's got these cards behind him, and he's whole. He's a new person. Where the hell is that card? Where's my card? I need it. There we go. He's whole. 0, whole. And he's gonna make sure that he's not lonely within himself before coming out here and joining up with other people in society. Okay, let me put this over here. There we go. Okay. So I'm not saying this is like a romantic union. I'm saying that this represents the dark and the light working together, integration, male and female energies integrating together, working together, being able to identify the different energies and not really being totally confused by them, saying, wait, this is this energy, this is that energy, we're going to work together. And that could be within yourself, this could be just the one person, like this, or, you know, if you'd rather... Where'd she go? Where'd she go? There we go. Okay. These guys. Okay, so pick your player, basically, and these energies are going to be working together. And then we have 17 and 2, that's the sun. Sun. The sun. The sun. Okay, so the whole point is to say that the continuing work that's happening in the age of Aquarius, that's happening right now, is to complete your shadow work and resolve your inner conflict so that you feel whole within yourself. You can start realizing your dreams because you don't feel like you're shut out. You don't feel like you're missing out. You don't feel like somebody's taking from you. There's an idea of contentment. If you're coming out of a sense of lack and of distrust of other people. You've learned to distinguish shadow and light so that you can see within yourself to help integrate it, and then see it within other people so you know if they're trying to fuck you over. And that way it gives you a way to determine your boundaries so you know who you are and who other people are. And that way when you come to work with other people, you can say, okay, here's this collective, this is what I'm bringing, this is me, and I don't have to pretend to be like you to fit in. I can say, okay, my gift is myself, and that way you don't have to try to leech on to other people to feel complete or whole, which is what that last relationship warning is, whether it's, you know, in a romantic relationship or not. So hopefully that sums up what the age of Aquarius is all about. It's really, what you can see really is that it's integrating reality and inspiration. It's like saying the air is coming from fire and earth. There's a little bit of water in here, but it's really, really full of fire and earth, which is unusual considering that it's a watery air sign. It's like saying you have to destroy the paradigm that's on Earth right now in order to create this new society. And it's not by literally going out and destroying it with a sword. It's by changing the viewpoints. It's by communicating and reworking the way that you think. I don't want to keep going on and on. I just want to see what's on the bottom here. Boundaries. That was important. The Knight of Swords inverted, so that's the Hanged Man. Thinking about it. The Blessing of Fire. Number 3, so that's Empress energy, and then again that leonine background, and then we have this rosy emotive thing here with a full moon now. 8 of Chalices. Walk away from what no longer serves you. And that's that 8 energy again as well. And then we have the Ace of Earth inverted, which basically turns it into an air symbol, where we're not going to start something new. We're going to take back that concept that the world was upside down, and we're going to literally turn it upside down. Alright, so this has been a broadcast of CATtheMinion. Message me if you want a reading. I'm kind of stalled on those. I really want to get some art commissions done, so check out my Facebook art page here, Canyon Art, and you can message me at thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter. I'll be posting pictures there too. Anyway, CATtheMinion. Check out my merch on Cafe Press. Merch. Check out DeviantArt. I got some prants. PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. So is that even in focus? Probably not. I had a few seconds left on this. Also subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Alright, so check out the other Astrological Age readings in the playlist. Bye. Peace.